Well, good morning and happy hump day. Wednesday, wellness. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and welcome to the Today Show. And we're going to, I don't know, I invited my good buddy, Doug Smith, to join us today because he's all about wellness too. And he and I have some pretty great conversations. So I thought today would be a good day to have him on this show because we do a show on Tuesdays called The Press Box. And we always have an amazing guest. Doug is doing such a wonderful job getting us some really incredible people to talk to from the athletic arena. So be sure to mark that down. It's Tuesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Presently, we're streaming live on Laurie Davis Facebook page, Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page, the Disability Channel Facebook page, Your Home TV, and a big shout out to everybody who has shared the show. You know, that's the biggest thing that you can do for us as a little give back, a little payback for all the great information and people that you meet on the show. I always tell my clients, you know, you can, when you're on Facebook or social media and you do a little click, like, I like this, I like, that doesn't really do anything, but it just takes the same amount of energy to press share. And when you share the show, that's very valuable because do you realize that it may be one thing that somebody says on the show that could change the direction of somebody's life? That's how important this is. So those of us that are working on the team, Doug Smith and myself and Ray Stoyan and Ramin Modiri and Nadzen Ganya, you know, we're all supporting the show in a big way to get the message out there. And what is the message? Well, the message is we're very, very passionate and interested in making a difference for people every single day. So that's one of the reasons I love to broadcast. It just gives us another format to take things out there in a bigger kind of way. So wellness, wow. There's so much information on the internet about wellness and what does it really mean and what is it that's right for me. I keep reading these posts. 5 foods you should never eat. And I've been eating them my whole life, thinking that they were good for me. And then you'll hear about some kind of medication that can increase your penis and your breasts. And good God, who cares? And then you have information about, vaccines and chronic illness and stress in our children. There's an ad on one of the American channels where you take your 5-year-old in and get them checked out for the 5-year-old stress test. Wow. So what does a person believe? What do we pay attention to? And I think those are some of the things that Doug and I are going to talk about today because everybody has their own take on what is good. Now, my hair was getting really thin on the top. It's been thin on the top for years. So the last time I went to my hairstylist, not the last time, but a few trips ago, she said, Laurie, we have a new product. And it's gummies, and the roots of them are mushrooms, 3 different kinds of mushrooms. And it's to stimulate your follicles and grow your hair. And honestly, my hair has thickened up, and I've got little sprigs coming in the back where it's thin. But the downside is more hair over my lips. So this is not good, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want it there. But to get back to what I was saying, what do we believe? What do we know to be true? And of course, everybody's body is different. So the way that my body handles things is totally different than the person next to me. So let's take a little 30-second break and watch our snowflakes flying up in the air. And this is when I talk about sponsorships, advertising, donations, because of course, our home station, the Disability Channel, is a nonprofit organization, has a beautiful employment educational platform for our veterans who want to learn the front end of the camera, the back end of the camera, the media business. And I understand that 85% of our graduates actually get jobs like right away. So we're here to support all of that as well. So here we go, our 30-second break, and then I'm going to welcome our guest, Doug Smith, to the platform. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. This is Wednesday, the Today Show, and our discussion today is always about some aspect of wellness. So, Doug, thank you so much for stepping up and coming in and supporting me today on our wellness topic, because you know lots about that. And it's really great to have you here.
Wow, thank you, Laurie. Thank you for having me. It's a subject that's very close to my heart, and you know, I did a wellness program this morning at home. So
Oh, you
almost
did?
almost every day I do a wellness program for myself. I'm working on one thing or the other to just keep it going. If you stop it and you let it sit there for a while, the gas goes bad, and then you can't start the thing. You got to change the carburetor. It's the same way for the human body. So yeah, we got up at 6:30, worked out.
Oh,
We go for a
nice.
walk. We do our stretches. I did a meditation, and then it's like boom. You're going by 8 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I sort of set a goal for myself to do at least one really healthy thing a day. So maybe today it's a walk, and we have a beautiful park across the street. So maybe it's a big walk around the park 2 or 3 times. Or I just make sure today I'm going to have my 8 glasses of water. I try to take one thing a day and focus on it because of my scheduling and the way that I like to work. So yeah, but we need to set those little goals, and then eventually those little goals turn into big goals. And I got a dog, my dog, about 5 years ago. No, maybe four. Yeah, 4 years ago now, 4 or 5. Anyway, and I hadn't had a pet in years. I always had a dog when I was younger, but my friend was passing away with cancer, my neighbor, and he asked me if I would take Pride, our dog. And since I've been walking my dog, I've lost 40 pounds.
It's amazing, like
Right?
having an animal. I highly recommend it. Like if you're feeling stressed, ask your neighbor if you could take care of their dog. If you like somebody's dog, just ask them to take care. We just had our neighbor's Yorkie here, and we have a Cavapoo, and it's a little male Yorkie. It weighs like 6 pounds. It's so tiny. It's a teacup Yorkie, and we have this Cavapoo, which is Cavalier Spaniel and miniature poodle, and they get along fabulous. And we talk to them. I was talking to them all day long. It was the healthiest thing I could have done.
Hmm. I know. And as you know, I have a colleague staying with me right now, Nedzen DeGagne, and she has a dog, Bear. And Bear is like this big, fluffy, huge collie, German Shepherd collie. Beautiful. And the
Uh,
temperament of a little pussycat. And then, of course, I've got my little boxer. He looks small next to this guy, but
yeah,
they get along just great. Yeah, they can't wait to see each other.
any kind of animal, any kind of plant, anything that you can be responsible for, because responsibility, we don't get away with anything. So, it'll get you. It'll get you. So,
That is correct. So there's the first tip to wellness: get a pet.
yeah,
Get a pet. Go
yeah,
go to the
yeah.
rescue and yeah, their work, but my gosh, the unconditional love and the joy that you get in return way outweighs the work. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and I don't
And
know
with
about your dog, but our dog knows when we're not feeling good.
Yeah, yeah, no, the dogs, the animals, they just seem to nurture human beings, and so many people ignore that, right? It's
Hmm.
whenever you can get around animals, even a fish tank, if the place doesn't allow you to have a pet, like
Yeah.
get a fish tank, get something that you can relate to, water you can watch.
Hmm.
You know, I, that
Yeah.
that's really important what we do with our time, and I don't think we put enough importance on it. we don't watch where we can have things around us when we're doing something else that make us healthy. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of that coming out now. I think we're becoming more aware as a society.
Well, during COVID, a lot of people did get animals and pets and bring them in because of that isolation that we were experiencing during COVID.
Yes.
And so that's when a lot of people, RV sales went through the roof
Mm-hmm.
and pet adoptions went through the roof.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we need that connection. So let's talk about, you mentioned water because you live on the Ottawa River. So why don't we talk about water? And I'm from Nova Scotia, so I was completely surrounded
Mm-hmm.
water in my life there. So let's talk about the importance of just even having water to look at.
Well, I hope there's more than just Canadians listening in today, because as Canadians, we take a lot of the water we have for granted, right? I mean, we're ever since we were born. If you grew up here, there's been that we've never had a shortage of it. And my personal feeling is I probably spent more time skating on top of water, being in water. When I was recovering from my injuries, I spent my time under the water, and all the scientific evidence today is proving that really we're just a bag of water. That's all we are, right? And so when you run water on your body, on your head, when you use it as a throttle for your temperature settings, and you understand that you can drop your temperature about 2 degrees and you'll go to sleep, right? All these little mechanisms that you can use water for to be healthier, not just the drinking of it. I mean, drink lots of it. I try to keep up with my wife, 64 ounces a day. It's not easy.
No,
I always like to have a little OJ with my water.
there you go. Well, I have a hard time swallowing pills. So vitamins, the pill version of vitamins don't do well for me, but I have a powdered vitamin C. So I put that in 2 glasses of water in the morning, and that's my first thing that goes into my body because it has the electrolytes in it, and it tastes good,
Yes.
and there's no sugar. So it's a great way to start your day. Liquid vitamin C.
Well, what we do is we have half a lemon. Um, uh, we have apple cider vinegar,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then a shot of hot spice in there, just a little shake, and fill it up with water, and
Mm.
then that shocks the system the same way.
Yeah.
When I say shock the system, in a positive way, not in a
Yeah.
negative
Right. Yes. Well, that's right, and it gets everything going and everything moving, and so that's another aspect. But we have, I don't know that you're aware that we have 40 workshops in wellness. Way back in the day, I hired a professional. He was a personal trainer and a nutritionist, licensed nutritionist, and he helped me build the first 10 workshops in our series of 40.
way.
And one chapter in there is the importance of drinking water and all the beautiful things that it does for us. Even though there are no, uh, except I didn't realize this, that a particular brand, Evian bottled water, has minerals in it, and
Mm.
I didn't know that. So minerals are really important too. So it comes from the Swiss Alps, and it has all the mountain minerals in it, and it's amazing. So it's different than the average bottle of water that you might see at a convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'll promote that. Evian, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
it's amazing when you've had a spinal cord injury like I have.
yes,
You have to get into the wellness area because everybody is asking how you got better. So when you have the worst injury in the room, which I almost always have the worst injury in the room,
yes.
um, the broken neck,
Ooh,
they want to know. So I didn't feel good at the beginning. I didn't have this much awareness when I broke my neck, but I had to learn what to do to get better from that injury. And then I had to learn how to translate that into how to explain it to other people.
right.
And I'd like to share that with you, like
Yeah,
with the
please,
audience, just for a second. So when
please.
you meet me, I want you to know that we're not in Kansas anymore. Okay, things are changing. This is a paper, okay, called "You're Not in Kansas Anymore" with respect to your health and with respect
Right,
to culture. Then you have your inner physician in you, right? Because it's all
nice.
about you. And so Dr. John Upledger started the Brain and Spinal Cord Dysfunction Center in Palm Gardens, Florida.
Hmm.
And this book, once you start reading it, you won't be able to stop. And once you're finished reading it, you will change the way you behave because it teaches you how the central nervous system dictates everything that's going on within your body. The central nervous system is in charge. And we can
Right.
get into more details about that. We could do a whole show on the spinal cord and how it
Oh,
feeds
we
the
should.
system. And then I share with them my book. It's the trauma
Yes.
code, and what this gives you is a system. This is an Apple Watch for your health
Awesome.
because it supports your subconscious brain. And then what we do when the people are really interested, we talk about the power of culture, and we have workshops that teach leaders how to treat their people so that their people will be enthusiastic and not wake up on Monday morning and feel dread, in their stomach and in their mind going into the office. So the power of culture is where it's at right now as we move hard into the fourth industrial revolution. And I won't get into the details. I just wanted to show you that we've taken this from the central nervous system and we've scaled it from a performance standpoint into the building of high performance work cultures, which are groups of people, right? And leadership,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the whole system works together, the central nervous system all the way up to building a high performance work culture. Everything is encapsulated within those boundaries.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. It
Sometimes
is.
it's too much. See, here's the thing about it.
Okay.
What I've learned in the last 15 years when speaking to hundreds and hundreds of business audiences is when you start with intrinsic motivation in anything that's intrinsic inside of you, it's almost impossible with an audience for me to make the jump from intrinsic to extrinsic because leadership and culture are extrinsic. And so people have trouble following. If you're listening to this show right now and you have trouble following, just separate the two things out: internal health and culture, right? The two have to meet. And it's a matter of hooking them together in a safe manner so you don't hurt people. And to do that, you've got to remove the narcissist the best that you can because they're not interested in helping anybody downward. They're only interested in serving themselves. So the art is in the question when you're bringing people into the workplace now. And what's happening because of that is the whole HR industry and the people I'm working with in the HR industry, that whole thing is being turned on its head. So if you think you know what the HR world looks like right now, if you're an HR person and you think you know what it looks like, come and take a look at what we're seeing, the
Hmm.
physics, because we work with the physics of this whole process, which is the speed
Right.
of information and the doubling of the world's content. And you know what? If in 1950, it would take 2 years for somebody to catch up to you, and now it only takes 11 hours. Right.
Right.
So if you take 2 days off, the amount of information in the world has quadrupled.
Wow. Hmm.
Right. And so it's moving at such a rapid pace that it dramatically affects the way that we manage and lead other human brains. So if you want to know any more about that, if you're curious about any aspect of that timeline, all the way from the central nervous system to the building of high performance work cultures, let's have a conversation. Like, let's
Right.
fix it now because it's fixable. It really is.
Right. And when you talk about, how rapid information is happening, um, do you think that there's a direct correlation between that and our stress levels?
Oh, absolutely. These things are deadly. There's a gentleman that I have on my wall right here, and people will recognize him. That's the amazing Kreskin.
Oh, yes.
Number one guy in the world, subconscious mind, had dinner with him, brought a question for him in 2017. What is the thing that we can't see that's hurting us more than anything else on the planet? And nobody had any idea in 2017, 2016.
No.
And he looked at me over his glasses at dinner time, like the amazing Kreskin does. And he said, small screens, locked doors, and minors. That's what the amazing Kreskin said. He's predicted every single president since he was 20. He's predicted the winner of the presidential election. He is the guy globally. Small screens, right here. Locked doors.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody can lock the door. A minor can lock the door. And minors. So locking your kids in their room with this is the deadliest trauma, cumulative emotional trauma that we as a species are facing without question. And we know that today. And that's how many years after Kreskin predicted it? About 7-8 years. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. Now we're here and we still don't know what to do with it because we've tangled ourselves up. We've
Mm-hmm.
tangled our central nervous systems, our spinal cords up to this thing. Our brains are locked in, right? Like this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's starting to take over and it's starting to turn those gears, right? It's turning our gears and we're not even aware of it.
I understand.
Right? It started out with us trying to figure it out and mad at technology, and we were trying to turn its gears. Now it's sort of, people worry about AI. AI is not going to take over. What's going to kill us, what's going to hurt us the most is the cumulative emotional trauma that's being injected into us on a daily basis. People see AI coming to get us. It's not going to come and get us.
No.
It's going to be other factors associated with it that will get us far before that. So, I'm hoping to see, but gambling's off the charts too now. So what battle do you fight? Okay. So I'm a professional athlete. I see what's happening with the gambling, but I'm in the brain space and I know what's happening to the brains.
Yes.
But they're allowing it to happen. So the question is when you're trying to think, what do? I don't want people to feel powerless. You just got to do something to learn about it yourself and pass it on to somebody else. Because
Correct.
right now it's easy to feel powerless, right, Laurie? I mean,
oh my gosh,
we need a lot of people between you and I that feel powerless. Yeah. And that's our main goal is to give them power, is to get that turned around.
Well, yes. And the sad thing about that is when you meet people and they don't think that they have any, or even worse, they don't think they have a right to have any.
Wow.
See? So you put that veil on there, that they don't feel they have the right. And we have a right to our feelings. We have a right to our thoughts, our decisions. Those are birthrights.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we feel powerless or overwhelmed or stressed, because that's all the same bucket, then we become complacent. And we just go with the flow. How many times have you heard people say that? Well, I'm just going to go with the flow.
And this, I want to share with our audience. If they want to know how this whole process functions from a scientific standpoint and from a health standpoint, Dr. Georg Northoff is the leading guy. He's got 3 PhDs, this guy. You can look him up online. Wow. He runs the Royal Ottawa Mental Health Center. This is his first encyclopedia. Don't let it frighten you. I'm still not finished it. Okay? But this is volume 1. Okay? Yeah. It's called Coding. See coding right there, volume 1, coding. Yes. So the brain, just to help everybody get on the right track right away. Once you know this, it'll change your life.
Right.
Coding comes first. So your brain is being coded right now. Then there's a gap. And then consciousness occurs.
Right.
So coding happens. You're being coded. You become what you're around. Then there's a gap. And then the waves come next. and
Hmm.
that's consciousness. So if you remember that, coding's first, consciousness is second, that proves that we become what we're around, that you do not have the faculties to protect yourself from becoming what you're around. So if you want to know what other people think of you outside your circle, look at the people around you and tell yourself how much you like them,
Right.
because that's going to be you.
That's right.
It has to be you.
I know.
There's no other examples for you to learn from.
That's right. And we process that. You know that in our retreat work when we do our circle drawing, we process that
That's what
on
you
a
have to do, right? You have to
poster board.
unwind. You have to
Yeah,
unwind because the body,
right.
how it works is when you have an impact, when you have trauma, you have to unwind the trauma. Because
Hmm.
what happens is you get bound up. People are in the most trauma, most mental trauma out there, get locked up, they get tied up, and they can't move,
That's right.
right? And when you have a spinal cord injury, this happens to you. You close up like this. Okay, was the biggest challenge for me. I had to work at opening up, and when you see somebody who has a spinal cord injury, it's opening up. I still have no feeling in this whole arm and these three fingers, right? So I spend a lot of my time, and I have for the last 25 years, working on this thing, making sure it stays awake or as awake as it possibly could. So that closing effect needs an unwinding process. And that's what you're talking about, Laurie. That's exactly what you've been doing for 30 years. And you don't miss. I know that. You've helped me realize, shortcomings that I was putting pressure on myself, right?
Hmm.
Where it wasn't necessary. And you've helped me overcome specific things that were bothering me. And I've seen it with other people too, with you.
Yeah. And I think the other side to that, though, too, and you're right on the money there with, that unlocking. I'm going to get those books because once we become what we are around, we think that's normal.
Hmm.
So if I watched my dad beat my mom up for 20 years, and then I get married and I start that, well, I probably started that before I got married, and now I'm beating my own wife. I think that's normal.
And the more you do it, the more normal you think it
It
is.
is. Yes.
Yes, that's the trap. So it doesn't go like, it's not linear. Okay, so the fall isn't linear. It goes like this, and then it goes boom. So if you're in that space where you feel you're in between happy and sad,
Yes.
okay, it's an important time for you to really examine what's going on, because you think that crash is a long way away, but it might you just might be on the edge, and one bad thing in your life push you over. And so you've got to be monitoring this all the time. And look, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do,
No. It
right?
takes it takes work.
Yeah.
That's why there's not 1,000 people lined up, you see, because it takes work. But once you do the work, that's forever. You don't have to ever go back because we talked about this yesterday. Success is an addiction. Just transfer some of those addictions that you're experiencing over to being happy. Happiness is an addiction. Success is an addiction because it's just like a drug. Once you get a little bit of something and you want more and you
Mhm.
want to know more, that's why I tell my clients, once you step into the arena of taking care of yourself and personal development, there's no arrival time.
Well, I say to my, this is what I say, and you might want to say this too when you're working on your mental self. Do you want to do bicep curls for an hour, or do you want to do meditation for an hour? You pick.
Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't matter which one you pick, and I'm not going to play one off against the other because they're both incredibly valuable, right?
Yes,
So do one or the other. Don't do nothing.
that's right. And yesterday, when we had our guest Rob on the press box, we didn't have time, but I have a particular story about meditation that was really, it's really powerful, and it's a true story.
Oh,
And we're
excellent.
talking wellness today, guys. All aspects of wellness, right?
Yeah, I
Mental,
want to hear this
emotional,
story. Yes.
spiritual, physical. So these two guys, Korean War, taken prisoners. One was young, and the other guy was kind of getting up there near 40, but the other boy was 20 something. So they get into this prisoner of war camp, concentration camp, and they go into their little boxes, one beside the other. 2 days later, the young man took his belt and hung himself. The older guy laid on the cot for 5 years, but every day he played the perfect game of golf. He went golfing every day.
In
He
his
would
mind.
envision the shorts he was going to wear, who he was going to go to the clubhouse with after and have a beer, which clubs he was going to use. If he was going to, he even envisioned buying a new set of clubs and playing with the new clubs every day for 5 years. Finally, they were released. He went home, and every game of golf he ever played after that was perfect. See? But they do also say that I've read, that when you're envisioning that, the physical body is responding to that just like as if you were physically playing the game.
I think that's why I was diagnosed with ADHD, well, ADD at the time, like when I was 13. And I think because I had that strange ability to focus, right, in different ways than most people, it allowed me to manifest like all the physical stuff and goals on breakaways. I could see them, like I there was no doubt in my mind. They had already been done. And so I got this weird gift, I think that didn't allow me to stop, because they the one who makes it to the NHL is the one who doesn't stop. Right? Don't stop for a second. You can't stop for a second.
No.
And so, that was who I was. And when I got there, I met a whole lot of other people like me.
Right.
Right. So they all have, and celebrities as well, they all have similar issues going on, but deny it. We lost a golfer this week. We lost a former hockey player this week.
Yes.
To suicide.
Yes.
Right. And one suicide is too much.
Absolutely.
I try to explain to people that the only reason you would commit suicide is because people or you are left with one option. And so with this channel, with what we're doing, we're trying to give people just one more option.
Yes.
And then one more option. Because if they have other options, they're not going to take that choice. That's not how our psyche works. If we've got another option, we're going to take it. We're not going to end it.
That's right. So if I'm, not working, the problem is we don't have the tools because we weren't taught those tools.
Yes.
So, for example, and I always use this one, the art of loving myself. Well, how do I do that? Nobody's mother sat them down and said, now, Laurie, when the what hits the fan and you're made to feel badly about yourself, you remember this is what you do to maintain your self-worth or your self-love. Who had that conversation?
I don't recall that one.
Certainly not me, right? But yet you're going to that piano lesson, or you're going to that hockey practice, or you're going to, not embarrass the family by doing this. And, I wanted to go out on a date with I think I shared this once with a motorcycle, and my mom said, no, you're not going. Now, what would Eileen next door say if she saw you on the back of a motorcycle with that bad boy? See, so we're conditioned, and it's intense, and it's really hard when you're working on the belief system, which is what we do. That's a big part of this working properly, is because whatever your mind tells you, you're going to believe it. So today I'm going to go kill myself. Okay, I guess I'll just do that.
And if meditation really works to get my mind off of the negative things, the future and the past that I can't control, it really helps. And if you go to my website, DougSmithPerformance.com/relax, just /relax. I'm not telling you to relax, because that would piss you off. I'm just I'm just making something available that will help you, which is the first in a series of meditations built based on the trauma code, based on the behaviors in the trauma code. So this meditation, I challenge you to download it at DougSmithPerformance.com/relax.
Okay.
Follow the suggestions, and I challenge you to stay awake, because I haven't met anybody yet. And I've delivered this to hundreds of people now. It's relatively new, and nobody's been able to stay awake through the first listening. It's 15 minutes long. So, and sleep is good, right, Laurie?
Oh, excellent. Power naps are especially nice, right?
Sleep is so good.
Yeah, and let's talk about sleep because that's another aspect of health. There's many, many people who have sleep deprivation, or they're on life support machines at night because they can't breathe on their own, or they're not getting enough oxygen, and I have never had a problem sleeping. And the reason is my parents told me that when I was a baby, I was kind of colicky and cranky, and the only way they could get me to sleep was to throw me in the back of the car and drive around the block, and then they could bring me home and put me to bed. And even to this day, Doug, even to this day, if we're traveling somewhere, I'm in the vehicle, maybe 20 minutes, lay my head back, I could sleep the whole trip.
The whole sleep thing, when we work, when my team works with a high level situation in corporate, it is one of the first things that we do is make sure that individual who is perceived to be stressed out or causing problems in the workplace, to make sure that they're getting enough oxygen.
Right.
And that's where the CPAP machines come in, because there's no point in trying to fix or deal with an individual who's oxygen deprived.
No.
Right? It just doesn't make any sense. I'm a scuba diver as well. So like the whole dynamic of being oxygen deprived, I have a pretty good understanding of it. So we start with that now. People say you should start with the mind. Well, not all the time.
No.
Right? Oxygen, you got to start with the body.
Yeah.
The body won't function at all, and the person will cause so many problems. They will be so destructive in the workplace because they can't remember things. They're living in the past and the future. They're panicking when they're not with other people. They can't. So make sure you're getting your oxygen. If your husband or wife, having trouble with certain things, and you think, it might just be early onset of something or this or that. It's unlikely that it's early onset of something like this or that. It's way more likely from a percentage standpoint, that it's oxygen deprivation, and that person will fall into the decay.
That's right.
Because they don't have the oxygen to keep up with you. So
right.
Make sure you get to the doctor, get tested, make sure you're getting oxygen, sleep lab it, and then be comfortable for a few years, then go get tested again.
Yeah. Well, we have our little Sylvia Adler, breathing expert, on, as one of our colleagues, and
absolutely, yeah.
And she told me, and I didn't know this, until a few months ago when I first talked with her, that oxygen actually kills cancer cells. And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful when you think about it. And oxygen, actually, I've mentioned the little gummies that are helping my hair grow. It's an oxygen intake. So it's healing the hair from the inside out. That's a lack of oxygen that closes down the hair follicles. So it's pretty powerful. And hasn't technology been wonderful in so many ways to develop things for us that we didn't have 10 years ago, or we didn't have 5 years ago, to support us with our health? I have another story about that.
Yeah, we're going to be living till, God, my wife's dealing with a client right now in real estate. He built a big lumber company in Ottawa. He's 98 years old. He's selling his third house, going to buy a new house. It's like, he's 98. He hasn't even, he's not even considering stopping, right?
No.
And so it's not going to be unheard of, I don't think, to hear the 110s more often,
No. Well, Ron had an uncle, 107.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he was the oldest in the family. Then there were 5 girls, Ron's mom being one of those girls, and then another boy. So there was 21 years between the 2 boys, bookended the girls. And Uncle Lewis did not decide to pass away until every single one of those siblings were put to rest.
Amazing.
And Ron's youngest uncle, he was 85. He passed away, the youngest boy in the family. And then 2 weeks later, Uncle Lewis made the decision. He's good. He can go now.
Oh,
And he
amazing.
was as sharp as a tack. I've got
Yeah.
letters that he wrote us. But you see, healthy diet, lived on a farm, um, lots of exercise, just a wholesome lifestyle. Very little stress. Just, the highlight of the day was, what are you going to have for dinner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, and also, too, the only time the body can actually heal itself is when we are asleep.
Wow. When even in deep relaxation, you don't have to be
Yeah.
asleep.
No,
You know,
but you know what I'm saying.
just doing a series of when I start with somebody, I start with 10 breaths
Hmm.
because you'd be surprised how often you tell yourself during a day, I'm going to do 10 breaths, and then you do 4 and forget.
Yeah. Because you
Right?
didn't do
I do that
10
all the
memory
time.
shots.
Stick with it. Do 10. Like
Yeah.
hang in there. And if you feel like you need to relax a little more after you do 10, you probably do.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can do that standing in a grocery lineup.
Yes, yes. And it will change you. And then if you don't do it, here's the question though.
Okay.
Maybe you can help me with this. If it's so easy and you don't do it, why? And I think it's because of what you said earlier. You're punishing yourself.
Well, if I actually have the belief system that I'm not worth much and I don't really make a difference and I'm not really that valuable to anybody, then you have to confirm that belief system. Otherwise, you'll wake up thinking, I've lived a lie. So, whatever that is for you, whatever you've bought into about what that looks like, then I continue to confirm it until that space that you're talking about, that's the
Mm-hmm.
code, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
coding. Then you have your space, because it has to get very, very painful for us
Mm-hmm.
traditionally to get into that space and then go to the other side of consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of people are living in that middle road, purgatory, I think they call it.
Well, and some people are on the edge of it because they're not because if their insurance plan doesn't cover the healthcare or the treatment plan that they want to go to, they don't go. I
That's
run
right.
into this all the time. It's like,
Me too.
why don't
Me
you go to
too.
a massage therapist? Well, my plan doesn't. I got just got to go to this person or a chiropractor, or a doctor, and they're not bad, but you know, if if you're making your decisions based on what your healthcare program will allow you, and you're making compromises with your health to save a couple of bucks,
Yeah.
like we lost everything, through when I broke my neck and was paralyzed,
Oh, yes.
yeah, I lost everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's
Well, no, then, and we run into that. They're called non-insurable services. And of course, as you know, I do a lot of work in the Indigenous community. And, they consider me non-insurable. But the bigger piece of that is what has come up in my last project was the powers that be are realizing that it's the government who's determining where they can send their people to get well. And of course, the government is tied into all the conventional systems, registered therapy, detox centers, anything that the government has approved. So they're realizing, wait a minute, maybe that's not going to work for my daughter or my son. I want them to go to see Doug Smith, or I want them to go see Laurie Davis.
yeah.
Not covered,
So
not
we're
covered.
so we're the safe edge,
Yeah,
right? And people don't want to go to the edge. They want to make sure somebody approves that they should do this or not. But do your own research these days because
yes,
information's moving so fast that the healing opportunity might be right in front of you. And because of your old ways of thinking and your inability to sort of shift to open, random, and supportive, not closed, selective, and controlling, you may be preventing yourself from healing, like right now. Like you
Exactly.
could be right there, and your old ways of thinking are stopping you from stepping forward. I tell people, try everything. I get acupuncture once a week,
Yeah. Yeah.
massage therapy, Reiki. So I get these things every single week because I like to stay active. And when you're active, your body gets sore, or my neck gets pinched, or it happens to all of us. But don't compromise. If you know
That's a
somebody who's
very
going
good.
to see somebody and you admire them, and you feel that they're strong and well, go see the person that they're going to see. Don't ask, well, is it covered? If it's covered, great, but don't get into even asking the question. The reason that you're pursuing this is for your own health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm on a soapbox today here on this
That's good. Well,
wellness show.
I knew you'd be perfect for Wellness Day. You'd be perfect for all of our days.
Well,
So you're so well, as I referred to Ramin Modiri, our dear friend. You know, you guys are like walking encyclopedias.
well, it's all about finding out in your life that recovery, because we all get hurt, right?
Hmm.
And performance, which is what everybody wants. And if you don't want it, you shouldn't be on this call,
No.
are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same thing. They're defined the same way. There's no line in between them. There's no such thing as inertia. I can go on and on and on about this recovery, high performance, same spectrum.
Hmm. Exactly. So, which brings me to our weekend coming up. We've got a big weekend coming up.
Mm.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, our Recovery and Performance Summit. Doug is one of our speakers. We have 18 beautiful speakers. We've got some very interesting talks coming up. Uh, one lady who survived an attack from a lion. Um, another,
Wow.
yeah, while she was in Africa, this lion
Wow.
came up and slapped her on the sides of her legs. I won't give away her story. Another lady who took her family, her mom and dad, to Africa. They were flying over the falls and the plane crashed, and they all got to walk away. Um, yeah, we've got some really, really, we have an ex gang member who's going to talk about his journey. Um, yeah, we've got some really cool guys and gals coming to speak. And yeah,
I'll be telling my story different than I've ever told it
that's good.
before. I'm just going to share the chronological
Yeah.
series of events, in an attempt to help parents,
Yeah.
help other athletes, help coaches, to understand what I went through, to hear the story of what I went through, so that they may be able to pick up on some things that we're not doing for the kids right now. Right?
Right.
What are we not doing? All the good things we're doing and all the bad things we're doing. What are the things we're not doing?
Right. Right.
Let's focus there. So
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
that's what my presentation is going to be about, is about
Awesome.
how this could have been prevented.
Yes.
And look, it wasn't all this. The bad situations weren't the fault of the team or the NHL or anything like
No.
that. It was this series of events that went from being a good guy to being a jerk, then falling, then being a good guy, rising to the top, then being a jerk and falling. It's like when you're a
Do I detect
teenager.
a pattern here?
Well, when you're a teenager, that was the cycle that I was going through, because nobody ever took me. Laurie, if you would have moved to LA with me when I was 18, it would have been a different story. You would have taught me how to do laundry. I used to send all my clothes all went to Fluff and Fold. They pick them up at my doorway, and I didn't know where to put the garbage because nobody taught me where the garbage was supposed to go. And so I kept it in my kitchen until December when my mom visited. So my whole, because I never used my kitchen, I didn't know what it was for either.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody taught me. And
No.
so how was I said to my mom was aghast when she got down there, and I was like really upset, but I didn't know what to do with it, right? I was too embarrassed to ask somebody what I was supposed to do with my garbage.
Yeah, you were focused on the game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, join us. You can get a ticket and by texting us.
Yeah, like come
We
and
have
hear the story and reach
yeah,
out to me like at my website and
yeah,
through LinkedIn. I'm excited to say we've gone to 5 figures on LinkedIn, and
cool.
people are loving the work, and it's not all negative stories. The people who are stepping towards you, stepping towards me right now, are getting better, and that's the key,
Absolutely.
right? Is you don't have to be the best, you just got to get better, just a little bit better.
Exactly. Yes. Good health. You
Hmm.
can't you cannot replace it. My story, Doug, is going to be about two failed marriages and finding true love.
Ah.
So, girls, there's hope, you know, and it's kind of like building a house. You have to build three of them before you get the one you really want.
Well, experience,
Yes.
yes, to say the least. Experience.
That's how I knew I had a communication problem. I went two marriages that didn't work out. Perhaps I have some communication issues. There's the evidence. So, yeah, lots of fun, lots of stories, lots of prizes. And today, for our prize, we're going to draw for our prizes on Thursday this week because I'll be away on Friday. Jay will be doing the show
Okay.
with his guest. So I can be at the summit on Friday. So on Friday, we usually draw, we give a prize away from every, and Doug has already offered you a gift. You go to his website, load down a meditation, find out more information because wellness is everything. And if you don't have that, you can't work, you can't be adventurous, you can't travel. It's so limiting when you're not well, either emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Yeah,
All
cool.
right.
And you talk about healing and where the world's going right now, and you picked up mushrooms probably with lion's mane in them to help your hair grow. And I'm actually, with my subject matter being trauma, I'm being asked to speak at national conventions for for psilocybin, right? For mushrooms, and there's so many new things coming online that are safe and can help you, in a controlled environment. And the studies that are going on down in South America right now are rampant, right? With ayahuasca, like I, I got a call from one of the top people in the Canadian Armed Forces, actually, a friend of mine, who was on the medical side of the Canadian Armed Forces, and he had just gotten back from an ayahuasca program down in Peru. And so like the Canadian Armed Forces is testing this. Forces around the world are studying this now. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things coming online that are going to be able to help our children too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even when you mentioned the lion's mane, I believe that is an ingredient. And um, another product was I was at the hairstylist, and she had this gorgeous brush on the counter, and she said, "You, I just washed that. Do you want to try it?" So I brushed my hair with it. I've never felt a brush like that in my life. And every bristle at the bottom has a little wrapping around it of boar's hair.
Oh.
Yeah, which made it really, yeah, it's so the boar's hair is feeding nutrients to your hair as you're brushing it.
Amazing.
I know.
It's a little late for me, I think, though.
Well, you never know. You
You
never
never
know.
know.
It looks good. Not to worry. All right. Well, our time is wrapping up. Is this not? I'm losing my voice and I didn't bring my water. Is this not the fastest hour of the week?
Yeah, it's incredible. I enjoy spending this time, and I really truly hope that people will, take one thing, and the one thing that's easiest to take is the meditation. It doesn't take any work, helps you relax, gets you started in understanding what the process is, because it's a process, right?
That's right.
And it's a process for transformation. So if you can remember, I'd like to leave everybody with that. Remember, process for transformation, not hard change, not
No.
you got to go like do something. It's a process for transformation. You can start slowly, you
Hmm.
can start quickly, but
Hmm.
you just need the process. So reach out. Happy to share the process with you. No problem. Send you whatever I can. And Laurie, it's just amazing. Thank you very much for doing this today.
Well, you're welcome. And tomorrow is our Veterans Day, Indigenous People Day, disability uh, people who are disabled. I know I'm disabled. It doesn't look like it on the outside, but I got lots of stuff inside that's been disabled for years.
Don't we
So
all?
don't we all? That's right. But tomorrow's our VIP day, very important people day. And so join us for a conversation and have a great rest of the day, Doug. And thank you so much.
Well, have a great day, everybody.
Absolutely. All right. So bye for now. You've been listening to the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And I just sound like I've smoked a package of cigarettes on a wellness day. I only smoked about 13 in my whole life. But the day that my grandmother caught me was the day I quit. So
That's a good thing, because you might not be with us today.
that's right. I might have been about 13 maybe at the time. All righty. So have a great day, everyone.